Let's see. Okay, so it says that we're live. Let's see if we actually are live. I'll just give the video a couple of seconds to load up on my phone. There it goes. All right. So here we are live once again with another G.I. Joe classified unboxing. And this is Christopher Law Levine in order. So I'm guessing some trademark law came into play again. Although I kind of wonder if it's one of those things where it's like not all of these characters have trademark problems, but some of them do. So they don't want it to be like too obvious which ones are which. So they're just using the file name and the code name together for all these characters. But who knows? Who knows? But yeah, fans of the G.I. Joe animated movie will remember that this guy made his first appearance in animation in that, and for some reason sounded like a guy doing an imitation of Cheech Marin. Blue White Mario is here and says, "Happy New Year's, Alan. Hi, Happy New Year to you too. I hope you and your puppy are doing well." So yeah, we got a lot of different hands in there, and you got the dog. And Camille Madi is here and says hello and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Always good to see you. Let's see, what do we got? We got the dog. We got Law himself. Now, the original Law figure had his head sculpted to look like the guy who was the head of the G.I. Joe team at Hasbro, Kirk Bazigian. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm dyslexic, so letters get mixed around. But he is always very proud that he had his head sculpt attached to this guy, and then he's a dog handler, just like Mutt was. So he's kind of a replacement for Mutt, but he also had the his main thing was he was an MP. So you can see he's got the shoulder, the armband, and says MP on his helmet and all that. So here's the image on the back here, and it looks like we got is that I can't quite make him out. He's kind of blurry, but I think that's Beachhead back there. I think Beachhead's wearing his beret, and he's got Order sniffing out the bomb. That's that scene from that animated movie. I hope you both get fleas. And you can see his close up of his armband. It says MPK9. Got the badge. Got alternate heads for Order. So got a lot of cool accessories in this set. Here's a nice portrait over here on the side of Law and Order. This is figure number 157, figure set 157, I guess we should say. Let's go ahead and open them up. So we're almost done with the G.I. Joe classified figures that I have. I'm supposed to go from this side. We're almost done with all the G.I. Joe classified figures that I have currently. Excuse me. I've still got the police officer to open up. Let's go ahead and get him out. And we can see the backdrop with the Star and Stripe logo on there. We got this useless piece of paper with a bunch of legalese mumbo jumbo on it. So let's go ahead and start taking stuff out of the package now. I'm running out of room here because I got all these accessories collected. I probably need to put them in the bin. Go ahead and get some of these out. So we got a little teeny tiny knife. Very small knife. There we go. Make sure we don't lose that. And then we've got his nightstick. And this is one of those kind of Tonfa type nightsticks where it's got the handle down here at the end like a little baseball bat and the other handle over here off to the side. So this is like what T.J. Hooker used to use, which was one of my favorite cop shows when I was a kid. with William Shatner. Probably like his most successful TV series besides Star Trek. Well, Rescue 911, but he wasn't really acting on that one. He was just kind of the host. But I always enjoy seeing Shatner in anything. So, and there's his automatic pistol, and it does, to me, the shape of this, it is very reminiscent of the automatic pistol that came with the original Law and Order back in the day. It's got that same sort of shape to it, so I appreciate that. Next, we got an Uzi, and I'm pretty sure this is the same Uzi that we've seen several times with Snake Eyes, but I don't see a silencer in here like Snake Eyes usually gets, but it's a black Uzi with some olive green detailing on it. I would have expected it to be silver, since Law's original Uzi was silver. But, you know, it is what it is. Next, we got some handcuffs. And I don't know how functional these handcuffs would be because they don't open up at all. It's just one solid piece. But I figure, like, maybe you could pull the hands off and fit them around a character's wrists that way. So I'm looking around to see if I've got this guy here, but he's got wristbands. I don't want to fool with taking off any wristbands or anything, or maybe Law himself might be the best guy to do that with, but his wristbands look like they probably come off too. And we got a whole bunch of hands, which I'm guessing, you know, again, kind of like what I was saying with Mutt, it makes sense for him to have all these different hands, so you can have him pose in different hand signals for order. But let's talk about what some of these hands are here. So we got like a finger pointing down. This isn't one where it points straight ahead, but we do have that one as well. But sit, like that one. It could be that. And then this kind of stay kind of thing. I'm not like an expert on what dog hand signals are, but for anybody who is, I'm sure you would appreciate some of these. Then we got the pointing finger. So that's something we see with a lot of G.I. Joes. I like having pointing fingers. And the solid fist. Got that one. And we got this kind of slightly more open hand. And this one that's kind of pinching his fingers together. His fingers and his thumb. And there we go. That's all the hands. And then we got this mask for order. Some little doggy goggles for him. How about that? Yeah, Blue White Mario just got a puppy, and here I am opening up a dog. How about that? So it looks like there's two different facial expressions for order. This one's a little more snarly. Like he just saw a cobra that he's cornered. And then the one on the actual figure, he looks a little more at peace, a little more cheerful, doing that number. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation on this guy. Now, Order has a collar with a hand grip on it, and he has this vest with a hand grip on it. And there are little peg holes in here, so I'm guessing you can attach some accessories if you have accessories with pegs on them. But I don't know anything that's in here that would require that. I don't see anything that would peg into it specifically. But I guess it's good to have in case you need it. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation on this good boy. So yeah, Order looks up about that far, looks down about that far, kind of tilts his head quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. And let's see, is there articulation at the base of the neck? Yes, there is, but it kind of bumps into the armor a little bit, I find. So you might want to pull the armor up over that, and then we might be able to get a little more movement out of it, but not as much as I would like, honestly. Order has front legs that go up about that far. See, and go back about that far. I guess in theory they could rotate all the way around, but I don't want to force it. And they do have like a little bit of a ball joint there, so you've got a little bit of side to side movement as well. This joint here bends up about that far, rotates all the way around, and then the front paws. There's a hinge right here, right at his ankle, and then right where the pads are, there's a ball joint, or a, what do they call that with the ankle joint? The rocker joint. So the front of the paw can move down about that far and move up about that far, and then that looks like that can rotate all the way around as well. And there is a torso articulation, which can move back and forth like that, up and down like that, really around any which way you want to. The tail is on one of these kind of rocker joints, so it moves up and down about that far, and you can rotate that all the way around, so you can wag his tail. And let's see, the hind legs can rotate all the way around. They rotate all around easier than the front legs do anyway. And then you've got this joint here, which bends back about that far, bends forward about that far. That rotates all the way around. And then again, another hinge at this ankle joint. And you can see where there's like actually a pin in these. You don't see pins too often anymore, but here they are. And then same rocker ankle at the front of the paws, where the pads are, where it bends down about that far, bends up about that far, and then that rotates all the way around. A lot of good paint detailing on this guy. Of course, the original Order figure was a slug that could not move at all, and it had no articulation whatsoever. And that one just kind of had like if I remember correctly, it's been a while, like a simple kind of overspray of darker paint over the top of the figure, and maybe a little bit of white at the teeth or something. I don't know. It's been a while since I even looked at that one. We'll look it up on yojo.com real quick and see if I can have a look at them. Law. Well, no, you're looking for... There's Law version 2. That's the Sonic Fighter one. And Law version 4. That's the Real American Hero Collection. Here we go. Law and Order version 1. Yeah, so it looks like the original Order figure it did have a little bit of face paint detailing to it, but it was that same darker color. It had some darker parts around the mouth and the eyes. I kind of wonder if maybe it was maybe the 2000 figure had some of that white detailing than it. Yeah, the 2000 detail was a bit more detailed. He had some light underspray underneath the figure as well, and he had white teeth painted in. So I think that was what I was thinking of. But the original Law figure came with a helmet, an Uzi, a nightstick, and a leash. And of course, this guy doesn't have a leash because he just has the handle that's attached to his armor. So that's a little bit different. But I think this is more of like how they do things nowadays. But you can see he's an MP K9. So I made my own Law and Order a while back with Marauder Task Force parts, and I used their K9 figure, which is also a very well articulated pet figure. And I gave mine a blue vest because I wanted, since Law had a blue vest, I wanted Order to also have a blue vest. But this guy's got an olive drab green vest. Sean Franklin is here. And he says, Happy New Year, Alan. Happy New Year to you too, Sean Franklin. I hope that you are doing fantastic so far this year. So yeah, there's the helmet. I got the helmet out. And mine, I used a Riot helmet on the Marauder figure. So it's got like a, plastic faceplate that flips down. But you can see it says MP on there. Very cool. Very cool. And now let's get Law out of the package. Now, I don't remember, and again, I'll double check on Yo Joe here real quick. I don't remember Law as being this ginger. Yeah, the original Law figure was much more dark of hair, and his pants were olive green, but they were kind of almost brownish olive green from what I'm seeing in this picture. But this guy definitely has green pants. So I gave mine green pants, going back to my Marauder figure. But yeah, he's got much more reddish hair than the original figure for whatever reason. Maybe they wanted to look less like Kirk Bazzigian this time. He's got a flashlight attached to his belt and some pouches. And this looks like a little section to hold his handcuffs, which I read on Facebook. Somebody had said there were some issues getting the handcuffs in there. And he's got a holster on his vest, just like the original one had. It's got one of these straps on here, which to me is always a pain to deal with, but we'll try to deal with it this time. And then he's got over here a holster for his Uzi, so that's kind of cool. And somewhere around here, I'm guessing there's some kind of sheath for his knife, which I'm trying to find. Why would you give him such a teeny tiny knife and not give me a place to put it? Why would you do that, Hasbro? Got a loop for his nightstick, a place for his handcuffs. Got a flashlight that does not attach. He does have another set of handcuffs that's actually molded to the belt. But I am not seeing a place to put that little teeny tiny knife. Is it on order somewhere? Does order get to hold the knife? I'm not seeing it on him either. Although that would be kind of cool if he had like a little knife sheath on him. So like if Law was stuck without any kind of weapon. Oh, he's got a knife hidden on order here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. They give the guy 2 hand grips, but they don't give him a place to put his knife. This little teeny tiny knife. This knife is going to get lost. This knife is so going to get lost. Sean Franklin asks, what if John Connor has a daughter trying to kill her? John Connor or Terminator trying to kill her. John Connor has to protect her. Well, that sounds like that would be a better Terminator movie than like pretty much any Terminator movie since Terminator 2. I'd watch it. At least John Connor's not getting killed in the first 5 minutes, huh? Yeah. Like, yeah, they don't give the character John Connor enough respect anymore. That's always been a problem. Like, they were even going to kill off John Connor in Terminator Salvation, and have like the Marcus, was that the guy from Avatar? They were going to have him like impersonate John Connor and replace him, and he was going to become the one who led the resistance or something originally. And Christian Bale was like, hell no. Shot that down. Good on you, Christian Bale. But yeah, like I think that's the problem with the Terminator movies, is they lost track of John Connor being the guy who's supposed to, defeat the Terminators. That's the whole point of them sending the Terminator back in time in the first movie. But no, they just have him get killed in the first 5 minutes of the last one. I didn't even watch the last one because once I heard that was going to happen, I was just like, yeah, no thanks. Now, this guy is different from the original Law in a few other aspects. Like you can see that his vest is closed in the front, where the original Law had his vest open in the front. And this is also a much darker blue than that original Law, who his blue was almost kind of more teal, like that kind of color. But I guess they went with a more sort of like realistic police color with this guy. And he's got the vest zipped up because I guess it's more of a flak vest, so it probably makes sense to have it closed. He's got the radio on tucked into this pouch, and then got the little mouthpiece up here so he can squawk into it. And he's got his police officer's badge, and get a good look at the armband, and of course it says MPK9 on it. So there we go. Got a place to put everything but that knife. I'm going nuts trying to find a place to put the knife. But I guess it's time to move on from that. I'm just going to wind up losing that knife. So let's talk about these handcuffs. And I don't really, like I said, I don't really want to fool with wristbands or anything. I don't want to take a chance on dropping any wristbands, but I think like you can put the handcuffs on the character. Yeah, it seems like that wristband's molded on. So you can put the handcuffs on characters by removing their hands and then putting the handcuffs onto them that way. And I don't know if they're long enough to reach on every character, but they should, in theory, that's how they should work. So let's see if we can get these handcuffs into this belt. And the problem is like this is a fairly rigid piece of plastic. It's not like super rigid, but it's when you go to bend this, the chain's going to have stress marks in it. So that's why you can't really fold it in half and put it into the handcuff storage thing. So, I mean, you could, but then you'd kind of ruin them, you know? All right, so we got no place to put the knife, which is driving me nuts. Let's go ahead and have a look at the nightstick. So there he is with that. Look at him holding it a little more overhanded. So there's that. And that's the typical weapon of a policeman. You know, kind of one of those classic cop weapons. So, and then he's got the little loop so you can tuck it into his belt. That's cool. I like that. And it looks cool when it's tucked into his belt. I like the look of that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to some of these other accessories. Let's talk about the sidearm. And that fits into his hand quite nicely. There we go with that. So that's what that looks like. Go ahead and put that into the holster on his chest. And it seems like it fits into the holster on his chest fairly well. You probably don't even really need this strap on here. And it's always just kind of a pain. Actually, it was really easy that time. Maybe they managed to find a way to engineer it so it actually works. But there he is with the strap down and all that. And then, of course, Law's Uzi. And like I said, with the original figure, the Uzi was molded in like kind of a silver plastic, but this one is black. But there he is with that. And let's see, and then the helmet. And the helmet seems to fit on there nice and snugly. Now, it looks like the helmet has lots of little scratches and things that are kind of painted into it. Little scuff marks and things like that. I don't know how well that's going to come across on the camera. It might be kind of bright. You can kind of see it a little bit better if I shield it from the light. But it's these little off-white, kind of light gray scratches and things like that. I was almost thinking they were sculpted into the helmet. But no, it seems like they're just painted on there. And they did a really good job with it. It's very realistic looking scuff marks. But there is Law with his Uzi and everything in its proper place in the holsters and everything like that. And of course, like I said, there's a holster for the Uzi. So let's see how well it fits into that. Pretty darn well. So that's cool. All right, so we can go ahead and talk about the articulation on this guy. I'm going to take his helmet off because that way I don't have the helmet encumbering his head articulation. Law can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they've got that G.I. Joe classified butterfly hinge on them that moves back and forth. His arms can raise up to the sides about that far. I believe this is the same torso from Outback and a few other figures that we have on here. He's got a bicep cut, so the bicep rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. The wrists rotate all the way around, and both of them seem to have a horizontal hinge on them that moves back and forth like so. So there's that, and his armband slipped down. Let's see if I can push that back up a little bit. And it slipped down again. I might even take some double-sided tape and put it on there just to hold it in place. And he's got a green wristband on this side and a black watch with a silver face on this side. And those will seem to be molded onto the figure's arms, so those aren't going to move. Now, if he's out back underneath, like I suspect he is, and he is, he's got a hinge underneath the vest, and it is a little bit hindered by the vest, but just a little bit. And then he can kind of wobble back and forth this way at the waist, rotate all the way around at the waist. It's very similar to how the old 80s G.I. Joe figures were articulated at the waist, but it's not an O-ring. It's a ball and a socket, so don't get confused. Law can kick up about that far. He can kind of do the splits, no problem, but since I got all this gear on his, the Uzi kind of gets in the way, and the nightstick kind of gets in the way, but he should, in theory, be able to do the splits, no problem. He's got a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. And then he's got a boot cut, so that rotates all the way around. His foot points down about that far. His foot points up about that far. And then the foot rotates all the way around where the foot meets the ankle. So that's pretty much it for the articulation. I think they did a really good job with this figure. And most of the changes that they made to this character, I think, are improvements, if not, just improvements in general, but things that work better in the classified series. Like I said, I kind of like the darker blue with the vest a little bit better because it's more of like, more the color that a cop would have as like blue on his uniform. And the last one was kind of teal, and I always thought that was kind of strange. But I don't mind the darker blue. I think the darker blue works. Mine, since I said I for the Marauder figure that I made, they had a blue camouflage, so I thought that was a pretty good compromise to me on my version. But this is just straight dark blue, and I think it looks good. Of course, he's got like lots of places to store his accessories, but why no place to store the knife? This is driving me nuts. Like, maybe I can just tuck it in the belt somewhere. I don't put it in the handcuff holder that I'm not even actually going to use. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll cut a small hole in there so this knife can go all the way through. Just then I can get some use out of it. Oops, I dropped the. Well, be careful with that. Like I said, he's got this loop to hold the nightstick, but it's not going to hold it too tightly. So when I turned him around, it fell out. I'm just going to put it in his hand for now. I think that's going to be the best thing to do for it. And like it's kind of weird getting him to hold this Uzi in his right hand. Maybe you're supposed to have him hold it in the left hand because it is, like I said, the holster's on the left hand side. Let's see how well that works. It's just like the way that hand is, it's kind of awkwardly shaped to be holding the Uzi. I'm not having a much easier time with the left hand either. But like I said, it's got a holster on the left-hand side, so hopefully I haven't stretched this hand out so much that it can't hold the nightstick anymore. It seems like it's doing fine. But they did a good job with this figure. I'm just it's weird that he can't have, that he doesn't have a sheath for the knife, because usually they're really good about things like that. It makes me think maybe the knife was just kind of like a last minute addition that they just kind of threw in there. Ooh, we should give him a knife, and then didn't really think to give him a place to put the knife. But I'm not seeing any kind of sheath or anything like that. There's a little loop right here, but I think like even as small as this knife is, I don't think it's going to fit in there. And even if it could, I wouldn't want that to be the place where he holds his knife. Yeah, I can get it to fit in there. I'm going to leave it in there like that just so the knife doesn't get lost. That's what I'm going to do, because it does fit in there kind of nice and snugly. Although I would not recommend somebody carry a knife around like that in real life. I don't think that would work out very well for you. But they did a great job with both of these figures. I think they both look great. And Law and Order were always figures that I really liked in the older days of G.I. Joe. So it's nice to finally have them for this line. I think that's really cool. I'm going to go ahead and swap out his head and have Order with the angrier head, because I think that'll look better for my thumbnail. Although I don't know if I'm going to take the thumbnail today. I might just have an ugly picture of me up there for for now. I'll go see if I can. Am I going to get that on there all the way? Let me see if I can get that on there all the way. Make sure this on there nice and snug. Yeah. Angry boy. But, it's good to have both faces. Like, it'd be cool to have, like, a neutral sort of dog face, too. Just that kind of expression, like dogs have sometimes. You know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, I'm happy to finally have these opened up. I've had them for a while. I've had a lot of these figures for a while and just hadn't had a chance to open them. I've seen these already on clearance at Target in between the time that I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store, and now when I open them up, I start to see them on clearance, and I'm like, it doesn't seem like they've been out that long to be clearanced out like that. But sometimes you can get some good deals at Target. So anyway, I'm going to go and put this box back together so I can take it to the recycling later. But that's it for Law and Order. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Next episode is going to be the police officer figure from the Legacy collection or whatever they call it. That should be interesting to open up. I actually wound up buying 2 of those so I can display him with both of his different heads. But we'll talk more about that when I actually open up the figure. Pixel N8 says Target did some crazy post-Christmas sales. And Bobby Wald says, I've been seeing 70% off at Target for Law and Order, but I've never seen a Law and Order there. Yeah, like I remember seeing Law and Order there like a while back, but I think once they went on clearance, they went pretty fast at the stores in my area. And like I said, I already had this guy to open up that I got from Big Bad Toy Store. So I'm like, I don't think I really need another one. Even at the clearance price, they were still like $30. So like it wasn't even cheap enough for me to be like, ooh, I'll buy it for custom parts. But, in hindsight, maybe I could have gotten like extra ones and painted them up to look like the Sonic Fighter version or the 2000 version. So already I think his vest is closer to the color that the 2000 Law had. It's not quite as dark as that one, but it's still a lot darker than the 80s version. If you repainted his t-shirt white and repainted his pants dark brown, that would pretty much be the 2000 Law figure right there. But yeah, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to make sure you don't miss the next one, please make sure that you like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. I don't really mind. Leave a comment. I like it when people leave comments. But that's it for Law and Order. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Bye.